What's going on, guys? Mr. Collins here, bringing you another episode of the podcast, Let's Talk History. Today, I'm joined with some new co-hosts and some familiar co-hosts, so I'll just go ahead and let them introduce themselves. So we'll start right here.
I'm Stephen Loveless.
I'm Matthew Rose.
Earl Merida.
And today's topic is centered around the history of video games. Now, it's been a while since we put an episode out, and I was talking with my cohorts here, and we decided what better topic than something we all love, that being video games. So we want to cover the history of video games and a little bit of just our own experiences with video games. Now, I do have some video game experts, and me, myself, I don't know much about the history of video games, but I do have my own personal, beliefs on them. So go ahead and just getting started out. I feel like the obvious thing is, the genesis of video games, and that is Pong. So, you ever played Pong?
I've never played Pong.
Never played Pong?
I've never played it.
We had the original Atari, the 2600, but I don't remember playing Pong specifically. I've played it on older computers or different devices. I've played the game of Pong, but not on its original
I got you.
console.
For those of you that's not familiar, obviously it's the little ball going deep, 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 just all the way back, left,
Basically
right,
tennis,
but virtually.
virtually.
Maybe that's where tennis was created.
It may be.
Can you confirm?
I agree.
I think that's why it's called Pong, is because it's ping pong.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I actually did play it. And if you wanted to play two-player, the one person had to use AWSD, and the other player had to use the arrow keys on the keyboard. Mm-hmm. And so you could push up and down is all you had. So you just had, I think it was W and S.
And it played the little tone.
Boop. This way.
Yep. Oh, yep. I can get in here.
Yeah.
Get up in this
Get
thing.
around me, man. So obviously there is a little bit of a difference between the eras with video games. Me and Matthew have our era of video games. I know it started out with me with the PS2.
We're like 5 years
And
ago.
I upgraded, I upgraded. We're a little inexperienced. Don't be too hard on us. But I upgraded to the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And then Xbox One, now I have the Xbox Series X. And I'd say it's a little similar for you.
Yeah, it is. I actually started off with a PS2. Then I went to an Xbox 360.
Okay.
Then I went to PS4.
Okay.
Then I got the PS5.
Okay, so what made you switch over?
Friends.
From the Xbox.
Friends, because you really couldn't do cross-platform then. So a lot of my buddies I went to school with, they were all on PlayStation. Like, you know what? So the next console I got was PlayStation.
Okay.
They all sucked.
The Xbox 360,
I mean, it wasn't good. It was not good. It was not good.
the Xbox 360, the success of it, a lot of people think it was the console, the games. It wasn't. It was the party chat.
Yeah.
They were the first ones to introduce a party chat, so you
Which
could
was
party up.
groundbreaking.
And it was, especially for like Call of Duty, when you could be in a party instead of in the game chat, and you didn't have to search and destroy, those type of things. And PlayStation didn't have that. Although the PlayStation 3 was free online, it didn't have any of those features. So I think that's the most success from the 360, which the launch consoles had, I think, 95% failure, red rings. And they obviously cleared it up and got it down to about 70% at some point. But none of the Xbox 360s are very stable.
Yeah, I remember getting my first red ring of death.
Yeah,
and
it was
that was
horrible.
pretty rough.
Oh, man.
Horrible.
Yeah, it was almost like a prayer, like, please, not now. I got to get on MW3 with my friends. Like, don't do this right now.
Was the 360 the one, too, if you moved your console with your disc in it, it would create a huge, deep scratch all the way around?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And just taking those experiences there and seeing what we have now, because the age of disc is almost phased out.
Yeah, it's almost
Oh, yeah.
out.
I mean, it's to the
It's
point
pretty
where
much done.
Well, DVDs
Yeah.
are almost gone. I mean,
Yeah.
Blu-rays are non-existent anymore.
streaming services, just being able to purchase games virtually
Yeah.
Right.
and download them to your console, your PC, whatever whatever flavor you like.
What's funny about that is you guys only use discs ever, right?
Yeah.
I
They never
grew
lived
up,
through
I
that.
grew up on the game, the
cartridges.
age of
The cartridges, yeah.
cartridge,
yeah.
Your game wouldn't load. You're sitting there blowing on it, smacking it, trying to clean it out. You did anything to get that game
Yeah.
to work.
That's kind of my first memories of video gaming. Like, we had what we called the regular Nintendo, which was the NES.
Yeah.
We had the one where you flipped it up and it had the cartridge that went in kind of like a VCR, and you pushed it down and
Yeah.
it locked. And it
Yeah.
had the little the little connector on the bottom. Obviously, the dust would get in and everything. Usually, like you said, you could blow in it and make it work. Then my real first experience as a video game was the SNES. You know, Super Mario Brothers, those kind of games. And we played. That's when sports games kind of started to get a little better. Then you had the Sega Genesis come along kind of after. Transition to the Dreamcast and the PlayStations. I think Dreamcast was the same series as PlayStation 1. Then I had PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. I was always a Sony person. I had a 360 for a little while because my buddies had it, switched over. A lot of my buddies had the 360, but I've always been kind of a Sony person. I just like their XMB dashboard, all that stuff was always just a little easier for me. I liked it.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned the cartridges because I did have a Nintendo 64. And I had that issue. If it wouldn't read, just pull the cartridge out, blow on it, put it back in. I read not too long ago that apparently that never helped.
Really?
Apparently just getting the dust out of it, I don't know what it was. I don't even know if I believe it.
Yeah.
But this person said that blowing it does virtually nothing.
It always worked for us.
Success rate. It had a success rate,
Yeah.
We could put a scientific fact, but we'd
Nintendo-
have to go get us one.
Nintendo stayed with the cartridge for a while.
They did.
GameCube was their first disc, then they went with the disc for the Wii, but they're back to the cartridge with the Switch.
Yeah.
Back to it's like a little SD card now.
Yeah.
And I think Nintendo itself, it started out as a trading card company. And where it is now, I mean, it's just insane. It's one of, if not the biggest.
One of the things that's
video
really
game.
unique about Nintendo is they don't care. They're just themselves.
Yeah.
They're coming out with all these high-end, expensive consoles. PlayStation 3 is coming out; it's $400. The Switch comes out; it's $150, and it's completely different. It's nothing. And then Xbox and PlayStation came out with their move consoles to try to catch up because there was a time I think it was the PS2 and the 360, or maybe it was the PS3 and the 360, whatever. But the Switch, not the Switch, but the Wii was really killing video game sales. Like the
100%.
innovation of the Wii was one of the biggest.
Yeah, the movement.
100%.
The movement.
Those, and because it was very well done too. Those games were really well done.
I remember telling my mom, I was like, listen, Mom, I have to get the Wii. You want me to get outside? You want me to be active? Get the Wii. You can play bowling, baseball. And then I get it, and I get
It's a good
Smash
selling
Brothers.
point.
Yeah.
I mean, I get everything that you don't have to
Selling
move for besides your thumbs.
I think I had the same reason.
Xbox had their answer for that. What was it? The
Connect.
Yeah,
They had the
Kinect.
Connect with the camera.
Yeah.
PlayStation had something. I think it was just the move.
You couldn't.
the move?
Wouldn't find you half the
think it was-
time.
yeah,
you had to
the
get closer and back
Remember they
up.
had the Wii remote, but it
Yeah.
had like a colored
Yeah,
dot
they
on
had
the top.
Yeah.
And don't even get me started on the Connect mics. And like the MW2 lobbies, like
Well,
as
that's
soon
one of
as
the-
you could not
Yeah.
hold an argument. If you
No.
had a Connect
Still
mic,
today,
you were
like
done.
I was
Yeah.
watching a stream the other day, and this guy was dogging Sony, dogging the PS5, and for the most part, the PS5 has been wildly more successful than the Xbox. But like he's like, it's nothing against the PlayStation. It's just they have the mic on the controller, and it's terrible. People don't know how to turn it off. I'm like, well, that's pretty, minute detail to be upset about a console
Yeah.
ever, because both controllers have a mic.
Yeah.
I like the ones that the Xbox, and then people would plug their cheap headsets
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the
the one-
controller, and you're
They're
like,
50
oh my
cent
god,
mics.
Yeah.
where'd you get that thing at the dollar store?
Yeah. Oh, those lobbies.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's not been said in the Call of Duty lobby.
I mean,
Yeah.
going back to the old era, I don't even remember what it was, but I got this game, and it was like this fighter jet game, but you had to hook this cord into the TV, and another cord went into the VCR. You put this VCR tape in, and it was a fighter jet that flew through the air, and you had a gun. You had to shoot at the TV.
Yeah.
Was it? Do you remember I think it was the regular NES that had the trackpad. You could do
Yeah.
Olympic track and field, and it was like the first Dance Dance Revolution type
Yeah.
thing. Like you used to
Yeah.
run on it, and there was different things you had to do.
Yeah.
And that was probably the first movement involved in video games.
Well, you know what's
That was
crazy
in,
is,
like,
is
late
those
80s.
consoles, those games, just like Duck Hunt, will not work with TVs today. It
No.
had to have the tube TVs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like you had to have the old blue tube.
A lot of them you can play on emulators now, and it still doesn't look exactly
Not the
right.
same. I guess the word would be revolutionary
Yeah.
when those first came out because I mean these games were mega popular.
Oh, yeah.
and you understand why.
And
because
the nostalgia of it too. Obviously, there's that, but like they were so much farther ahead than anything that had ever happened.
100%.
People still speedrun regular Mario, the first
Oh yeah,
Mario Brothers.
You can go on
yeah.
Twitch or anything like that. And you can find those old games still being
Yeah.
played. They're still super popular.
Most people play them on emulators with, obviously not original controllers, but duplicate, copies.
Which console started the Rumble Pack to have vibration in the controller? I know the N64 had it.
PS3 did not have
vibration.
vibration.
Did it
No,
not?
no. PS3, the original, did not have
Really?
vibration, I don't think.
But the Nintendo 64 did. You could buy the Rumble
I
packs.
take that back. PS3 did have it. PS2 was the last one that didn't.
Okay.
But I think it was optional. You could buy a Rumble controller on PS3.
And I bring that up because I feel like that's when video games went from more of a hobby to an experience.
Yeah.
Because even today, the video game industry is, I mean, it blows the movie industry out of the water. Because these video games have gotten so advanced. I mean, it's almost like you're being immersed into movies.
Oh yeah, well you take all the VR headsets now. I mean, VR is just game changing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you on that note, like here we have the TSA, the flight stuff. Like simulators are used for real training, and they're
100%.
essentially just really good video games.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a very global training device now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they use VR for that. What they'll do is, you set up a cockpit where all the switches are on the game. So when you're in VR, essentially you could look down, and you know where the switch is just by looking down.
Yep.
Oh yeah, my whole setup at home is based around American Truck Simulator.
Yeah.
Triple screen, steering wheel, gear shift, everything is based around that American Truck Simulator.
And I've not personally played the truck simulator, but just hearing what they've told me about it, it is crazy how accurate it is.
It's very
I mean,
realistic.
you're actually shifting gears. You actually have pedals, a wheel. I mean, it's as if you're there in the truck.
And I've played it a couple times. I've not played it a lot. Like, obviously, Matthew's into it pretty deep. I got in the iRacing, and iRacing, like 2020 when NASCAR canceled, they actually went to iRacing, and that's how they did their races.
Yep.
And they still have that series going. Like, they still have the drivers come in a few times a year, and they do a Coke series on there where 40-something drivers getting $20,000 rigs, $20 to $50,000 rigs, and some guys use a desk and whatever, but they use the simulator because the tracks they're mapped, accurately and everything. So it's like, it's kind of crazy, these sims.
Just how advanced they are. I mean, it's awesome. And I feel like a lot of video games are kind of taking it back to their original roots. I saw this morning the new Star Wars game. What is it? Jedi Survivor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw somebody fighting Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And just hearing the voice of James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nostalgic, really. And if there's one thing humans love, it's nostalgia. I mean, you love to experience things from your past. And video games just hit all those marks of being able to satisfy the customer.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, just like I play Flight Simulator all the time, but just going from the video games originally when they first come out, with flying a helicopter or something using a keypad, and that's all you had. You had no controllers. You didn't have no yokes, nothing like that. And now, I mean, I use switch boxes, yokes, rudder pedals, the whole thing. I mean, you run through it and you fly inside the cockpit. Before it was just outside the cockpit and you're flying this plane.
Yeah.
You thought you was doing something.
Well, I think, like, in general, gaming hit its peak during COVID.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think
100%.
that time people turned to gaming more than any other time because that was the only way you were able to talk to your friends. So I know for us, like, we're working from home, get done, you sit on a computer all day, then you go sit on a computer or console because that's the only way you could talk to your friends, the only way you could see each other. So I think streaming definitely really, really grew during that time. But overall, like, now, I feel like people played so many video games that, like, globally, there's a burnout.
100%.
And companies are really struggling right now to find that niche gameplay. Like, Fortnite got huge.
Oh, yeah.
Call of Duty Warzone got huge. And streaming in general, Ninja was making $30 million a year streaming. And he's making what the professional athletes are making. Like, what's this guy doing? He's playing video games for 12 hours a day, and he's making more than we are.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about that. I mean, and we do esports.
Yeah.
And you're the head coach for esports here. When I was in school, there was no such thing as esports.
Oh, it's it still
new.
has a negative connotation with it. Like,
Is it really sports? I think
Yeah,
is
like-
what goes through people's
like
minds.
a few years ago, not to knock the kid or anything, I'm not calling him out, but we had a kid who was trying out for basketball, and he's like, my parents really want me to do basketball. He's like, I want to do this. Like, this is what I would love to do. I want to play Rocket League. I want to do this. But my parents are like, no, you're trying basketball first. And if you don't make it, then you can do this on the side. But it's still seen as almost like a joke.
Yep.
So we're still having some growth issues with our esports. Like, hopefully that'll continue to get bigger as when you start getting colleges calling you and say, hey, do you play Madden? Oh, do you have any kids that play Rocket League? Because I get emails right now from colleges in Kentucky. They're like,
Yeah.
you got any seniors? We got money to give, and we don't have anybody to give it to.
Yep.
Oh, they get. I mean, you can get scholarships for it.
No, I mean, there's
It's
tons.
crazy. And like you was talking about, how much money these streamers make.
Yeah.
And if a kid's just phenomenal at a video game, he can stream and make money.
I mean, if you have a skill, why not use that skill?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you are very gifted at video games, why not find a way to make yourself money off of those?
And that's what's
I know
kind of
you
unique
stream.
about it. Yeah. What's kind of unique about video games is you take someone like Tim the Tap Man. Tim the Tap Man is not one of the most watched people because he's great.
Yeah.
It is more of his personality.
He's
People
an
would watch
entertainer.
him play anything.
He's an entertainer.
XQC, the biggest guy on Twitch for years, plays crazy stuff. And it's not his skill. Obviously, he's skilled. Tim's skilled. He's a lot better than most people give him credit for. But his content, most of his YouTube content there for a while was him spectating solos. He would play until he died and then just spectate the person that killed him and the person that killed them. And that was his main content. So to be a successful streamer, you don't have to be the Michael Jordan of video games. You can just be a really entertaining person. Your personality can come out, and that's kind of what got it all going.
Yeah, that's like what is it, Stony Mountain?
Stone Mountain. Yeah, I know
Stone
you're talking
Mountain.
about.
Yeah, he gets in there and he acts like he's the the general. He's
got the real lingo.
He's the leader.
It's one thing to be able to play video games well, but to be able to entertain your audience at the same time. I think that's the beautiful thing about just content and streaming and YouTube and all these different things to unpack. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, my main game I stream is PS3 game. So I got a $1,500 computer and all this stuff, hooked up mics and everything hooked up to play a game that came out 10 years ago, the NCAA football. And I'm pretty big into sports, but sports, is not a real big niche market for Twitch. But one of my buddies, he had never streamed. And he's streaming his game one time. He's like, I've got a completely newfound respect. He's like, he's like, the fact that you were beating us and you're doing all this other stuff on the side, he's like, I'm having a hard time keeping up. And he just has a simple setup. I was like, you get a better setup, it kind of makes it easier, and you get in the habit of doing that. I was like, and obviously I'm not I'm like a 2-viewer kind of stream.
Yeah.
I made it to affiliate, but I'm not.
Everybody started somewhere.
Yeah. It's
sure.
not really. I've never really pushed it for that. I just did it because my buddies were watching.
You need to start streaming some Jurassic Park, man.
Yeah.
Get the dinosaurs in there.
There's some times when it starts hitting the fan. It's rough.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wants to see.
Yeah.
Tornado comes in.
Velociraptors are eating your gas. There's a lot going on. It's like, what are we doing? Tornado.
Yeah. Now, kind of pushing it back a little bit, Earl brought up a really good point that I want to hit on. Games that, I guess, revolutionized gaming. Fortnite. You brought up Fortnite a second ago. I feel like if we're going to make a video over history of gaming, that is a staple in the history of gaming. Because when Fortnite first came out, how many years was it? It was like 2014?
For the record, it is still in beta.
Yeah. This long.
It's still in beta. I think it was. I think you're right. Did you say 14?
Yeah,
I think
13.
Before the BR, before Battle Royale, it had Save the World, the single player, and it wasn't that big, and it took.
Well, Save the World was paid.
Yeah,
that was their main game. The Battle Royale, the BR, was just a side gig. And
but at first they didn't even have the BR.
No.
And they started seeing where BRs were taking off, and more people were playing them. They're like,
because you had what was the Z?
DayZ?
No. The first one was not PUBG, but there was one before it. H1Z1, I think, something like that.
Yeah, Arma 2.
Yeah.
Arma 2, and that's a mod of DayZ, or one of the two.
And the H1Z1, I think, was the one that came before PUBG, and then PUBG got really big. Like, there's commercials about PUBG, like national commercials from other brands, and people getting hit in the head with a frying pan, that kind of stuff. Like, it got really big, and then Fortnite came.
Yep. And with Fortnite, my experience with it, I remember it first getting popular with the BR, and the thing that shocked me was it's free.
Yeah.
It is a free game. I was used to paying $60, $70 for games, and this one is free, and people are having fun on it. Because you could go on
and if
Xbox
you go from the
Store.
Call of Duty, too, Call of Duty is $60 every year.
Yeah.
Every November it's coming out, or October, it's coming out. It's $60 again, and you're getting kind of just a reskin.
You really are. And when you go to the Xbox Store, Microsoft Store, Steam, I would say as well, I don't have much experience with Steam, you have a free game section. And before Fortnite, it was lacking.
Yeah, you don't even check
they
it out.
They were indie games.
Yeah.
But Fortnite comes onto the scene and just completely changes it. You have these in-game transactions, V-Bucks, you can buy, and they add nothing. Skill. They
Purely
don't add
cosmetic.
It's cosmetic. And you get to express yourself that way, but you are not paying to win.
Yeah.
That's something Call of Duty messed up on. Call of Duty started making it where you could buy all these
attachments
packs
and it made your gun better.
guns, and it became unfair to just the casual gamer.
I remember even here at school, like, Fortnite was the first game that brought in everyone.
Yep.
People who had never played a video game in their life were buying consoles and playing Fortnite, or getting their kids' console and playing Fortnite, like smacking the kid over the side, hey, it's my turn, that kind of stuff. And the building aspect was really cool. That was something that had never been done. And then once they got to creative and you was able to practice your building, the evolution of their game, and they were always, we talked about it last night, that's what we were playing, how Fortnite's always got something that kind of gives you really good mobility, or it's just something, and it may even be an aggravating thing because you're not that good with it or whatever. They're doing their Star Wars thing now, so that's not your thing, but they've always got something new and creative. But what Fortnite did, like you were talking about, it was free. When they first started, it's a huge company. Epic's a huge company. Like, it's one of the biggest one. With Gears of War, I think, was their main. Like, it's a huge company. So for them to release a free game, they really invented something completely new. But when they would come out with these skins, like you were talking, I remember the first time seeing the Raven skin.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is $25. And I go to a lobby, and there's
Everybody's
100
got it.
people, and there's
With the Raven skin.
$25 skin on everyone. I'm like, what are they doing?
You take the new seasons, like, I just recently started playing Fortnite. But, like, I remember my son, when he was younger, Fortnite came out. And, like, when the new season come out, he was so tore up, we had to go get him a V-Buck card.
Yep.
Because he was determined he's getting a new battle pass.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's going to get some new skins. The new skins are coming out, the new season. And he's wearing it out. How much money I don't even want to imagine how much money I've done to myself in a couple months. My wife may divorce me if she sees this.
Well, they had the battle pass. That was kind of innovative, and that's their way to make, they get a continuous stream from it. But the battle pass, $10 the first time. If you complete it and you don't spend any of your V-Bucks, it's free forever.
Yeah, you get your V-Bucks back.
Yeah, you get a 1,400 or so you get to buy your own cosmetic. I think I bought one skin the entire time I've played Fortnite. I think I bought one skin. So, and I played it heavy for like a few years. But the thing about it was, though, it really changed gaming forever because they listened to their community.
Yeah.
Something came out, broke the game. Everybody's up in arms about it. Next week, it'd be gone,
It's
or
gone.
it'd be adjusted.
I think that's another big thing too. Weekly updates.
Yeah.
Like, they don't really do weekly updates anymore. But when Fortnite
they used to patch weekly.
Yeah.
It was on Tuesdays. They patched 8 a.m. A new patch was coming out. They were fixing stuff. The patch notes were very detailed. And you go from I was a big sports gamer, then play some FPS.
Yep.
That's all I played. You're talking about a Madden may get one patch. 6 months into the release.
Yeah.
NBA 2K, well, you're lucky if the online wouldn't even work and you wouldn't get a patch for 2 months.
Yeah.
Fortnite, something breaks that day, they're like, oh, we got a hot fix. And what's a hot fix?
Yeah.
Like, they literally, that to me, like, when you start talking about the greatest game of all time, Mr. Kennedy would obviously come in, would disagree and say Donkey Kong's the greatest game, quoting Billy Madison. But I think when you look at the grand scheme of everything, Fortnite did more for video games than any game has ever done.
I agree.
And it's still innovating now. Like, it died off, but it's still innovating now.
It was kind of crazy because I have to say I was a big Call of Duty player. I
Probably had a negative view of Fortnite.
Definitely
It's a joke.
100%,
It's cartoony.
Definitely 100% negative view. I played the first game I played was Black, and it was just a single player game run through with the AK.
Yeah.
And and then Call of Duty's come out, Modern Warfare come out. That's all I played, and then Fortnite came out. And my son played Fortnite, and I'm like, no, I'm not playing this stupid crap.
my
It's
kids are playing
cartoonish.
it. Yeah.
No, it's a kid game.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Collins here talked me into downloading it. He said, come on, get on here, we'll play. And the movement on it is phenomenal.
It is.
And just
The creative caused a skill gap that is not seen in any other game. the skill gap from an elite Fortnite player to a regular Fortnite player after creative, it's astronomical.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I think now, like I hadn't played the game in years, and you all were playing, and they came out with no builds. So now it's back to it's accessible to everyone again.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So now they've just they kind of put themselves out of the market, but now they're back to the full market again because they've got the no builds growing.
Yeah.
That was my big thing when Fortnite first came out. Is I did not like the building.
Yeah.
My big thing was Warzone when it came out.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the building with Fortnite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I started playing it when you told me there was no builds.
Yeah, I played in the builds in Fortnite, and I would get out the emote with a chair and just watch them build, and then they'd get done and they'd shoot me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the crap?
Yeah, build their 5-story hotel.
And I was Fortnite early on. I played it right at the end of the first season. I was heavy in season 2 and 3 and 4 of those when the original Tilted Towers came out. I remember the day that Tilted came out. I don't know if it was winter break or whatever it was, but I was home, so I got to get on early, like 10 a.m. or something when it came out. Fresh patch. You go to Tilted Towers, there's 100 people jumping out of the bus. And I'm going to say 90 people jumped out at Tilted Towers. You couldn't see the buildings because there were so many parachutes and gliders coming in. It was just insane.
Yeah. I think they want to talk about video games.
Yeah. People are beating the door in. They heard Fortnite. People just came running.
Fortnite.
Yeah.
What with the community?
That's
Yeah.
the whole community.
The kids are coming back to school. They're like, they're talking about Fortnite at school?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think we can leave the topic of Fortnite, though, without talking about what I think is one of the most revolutionary things with it, and that's the collaborations they do.
Yeah.
Like they did I don't want to quote like what the first collaboration they did was, but right now we've got a Star Wars collaboration going.
Yeah.
And then there's a Marvel collaboration. Loveless is going to go get it. You'll scream, "Get off my lawn!"
Get off my lawn.
But there was a Star Wars right now
Yeah.
that you were just talking about.
And it's not just the skin.
Yeah.
The game mode changes.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember when I was playing before, they did the Marvel crossover with the Infinity War. It was right around when Endgame was coming out or Infinity War was coming out, and they had the Thanos mode, and it was a completely different mode. Like you could be Thanos versus the 90 people in the
I guess
lobby.
that would have been the first collab.
That was probably their first big one where the gameplay changed, I
Yeah.
think. And that was when I was into it. So, like, there's a huge gap. I didn't play much after the mechs.
Yeah.
Like, the mechs came out, I played maybe a season or two after that, and I kind of got burnt out on it. The building was getting insane. I didn't have 12 hours a day to just go to creative and then play for an hour after. I just couldn't get warmed up like that. So that was kind of my thing with it because I hadn't played it in years. I mean, until I picked up, I think there was like a 3-year gap where I hadn't played.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think that
But you
pick
can
up an
come
old
back
game.
and it's still virtually the same.
Yeah.
And
the
same controls.
nostalgia of it too.
Yeah.
Though, like it's
I came back. They wanted paint.
No.
They needed some paint. It was they wanted paint.
yeah.
Okay. Did you give him some paint?
No, I told them later. Go ahead.
Told them we were busy.
So, kind of ringing this back in, though, I think before we leave, I would like to talk about our video game experiences, particularly what started video games for us. Because at home, we all game together. We hop on and we're on Fortnite or we're on Chivalry 2.
Basically anything.
Yeah,
really.
anything that we feel like playing.
Well, I tell you, just on that topic, I was in the military. And so we were always doing something together as friends because you end up getting a group of friends, kind of like we are.
Yeah.
And like I love this, the school system's almost like the military, just not as vulgar, I guess.
Just the kids.
Just the kids. Just the kids. But just being with your family. And we would have what we called video game season.
Yeah.
So winter hit, you couldn't do anything after work. It's so cold, you're just tired of being outside because we were out on the flight line all day. So we'd come in and play video games and then sleep like 2-3 hours and then go back to work and do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just being, and like I said, where they evolved from where, you're just playing just by yourself and nobody could play with you to where you can get in a lobby and talk to your friends. And so,
Or
for
get
instance,
cussed out by some enemies.
Yeah.
yeah, that too.
Either way.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, and now it's to the point, and it was years ago too, but my friends would move off, they get stationed different places. Well, we'd set up a time that we would play, and then we would play together, and you could talk back
You were
and forth.
still able to stay in contact.
Because the biggest thing is you couldn't text and talk without being charged a ton of money.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we would get in the lobby, play, and then you take now. I mean, me and Matthew, I know for sure, play with some friends that are in California that we've never met.
Yeah, I got a buddy
I've never met him.
who's in the military. He's stationed in Japan. Like, he's all over the world sometimes.
Yeah.
And he'll pop in our Discord voice chat, or he'll play some Call of Duty with us. Because
Yep.
when he first moved, he was like calculating, what's the time difference? Oh, it's like 14 hours. Well, that'll kind of work. I can play with you guys on my lunch break while y'all are getting on at 11 o'clock at night. I can play on my lunch break.
Yep.
Yeah.
During COVID, was when me and my cousin, we got big into playing with other people. Like, we would play for people all over the U.S., like Michigan, California, Florida. There were some even from Canada. We'd play
Playing with randoms is a really untouched area that's a lot of fun.
And we built some really big relationships. Like, just the other day, my buddy from Michigan just texted me, "How you doing? What you been up to?" Just really good relationships.
And I think if I was to sum up video games, at least for our experience, into one word, it would be camaraderie.
Yeah.
Because you get on, you're not just gaming, you're talking.
Yeah.
And, as teachers and all of us on a different team, you really don't get that chance just to talk to each other a lot.
Yeah.
So when you get home, you get to chill out. You get to kill some people on chivalry.
I don't know how you guys.
Chivalry.
My wife makes fun of me all the time. Like, when I'm in the voice chat, she's like, "Oh, you're just having a good time over there, chatting it up, laughing it up.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
what are y'all even talking about?" I was like,
Anything
whatever's
else.
going on.
The best thing is when I'll ask a question and my wife will answer me.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, you're on your stupid headset again."
But I guess just bringing it to a close, I want to talk about my experience with video games. And I think the game that did it for me was PlayStation 2, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I can remember getting on there. I actually, and it sounds weird now, but I love to ghost hunt on there. If there's one thing about Grand Theft Auto games, they love Easter eggs. And you could go around, you could find something that the devs would have left, when they first created the game.
Yeah.
And it just felt cool. You felt like a little detective.
There wasn't
so for me,
online
it
on
would have
San
been Grand
Andreas
Theft Auto.
either, was there?
There was co-op. And
Co-op,
to do
yeah.
it, you had to go to a couple places on the map and you had to walk into it, connect your second controller, and then it would split screen with you.
Oh, okay.
But that's it. There was no online or anything. Did
Yeah.
PlayStation 2 even have online
Yes.
capabilities? It
I'll
did.
touch on that if Matthew, you want to do your experience first. Or,
I'll go ahead. The first big games, as a kid, I never was a big gamer. I was always outside playing basketball or something. The first big game I got into that I played a bunch was the first Black Ops.
I love that.
That was the first one I got into the campaign, the multiplayer, and really played it. Even when they come out with Black Ops Cold War, I was really hoping for really a Black Ops,
nostalgia,
like a reboot of Black Ops.
Yep. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Black Ops 1, was that the first Call of Duty to do like expansion packs? Because you had the zombies on there and you had new maps they were adding to the Call of Duties.
I think that's when they first started. Like, what was the program they called it?
I remember you had to buy the download.
But you would have to buy.
Yeah.
You would have. To, that was the first time it wasn't pay to win.
Yeah.
But it was. They would release a map, a pack, and maybe it was like
Yep.
3 maps for like $12 or something.
1,200 Microsoft points.
Yeah.
Yeah,
still
and your buddies
remember.
would get mad if you didn't have the map. And
Yeah.
they had the map.
Yeah, 'cause
they
you
wanted
couldn't
to
play
the
it,
new
yeah.
map. And you
Yeah.
can't
Party
play the
up.
new map if you're partied up. Yeah.
It's like, we'll give you $3 each. Just buy it.
Just buy it.
Actually, I lie because World at War had.
That's the one I was thinking of
Yeah,
when you
it
said
did.
World at War.
Yeah,
did
that's
that.
what had it. Yeah, that is for sure.
Which was the precursor to Black Ops
Yeah.
1 in the storyline. But I can't disagree. Black Ops 1 is a phenomenal game.
Yeah, it's
Even
a
still
great
today.
game.
I'll
See,
get bored.
For me,
I'll load it up.
I'm a little
I'll play some
older.
zombies.
A little older than you guys. Love's a little older than me, so he's probably got a different one. For me, online gaming, like my oldest online gaming memory was trying to play on the Dreamcast. They had the 56K adapter. It didn't really work.
Yeah.
So then when PlayStation 2 came out, it didn't come with a jack on the back originally, but there was an adapter you could plug in to, like, I don't know, the USB or whatever. But you could get a network adapter. So the first game, and I feel like this is the game for consoles that made shooters happen.
Yeah.
It was a third-person game, very tactical, kind of similar to the Tom Clancy series, SOCOM.
Okay.
And SOCOM 1 was just all offline. But you had a headset, and you actually spoke comms to your 3 SEAL mates.
Yep.
It was SEAL teams. So SOCOM 2 came out, same type of game, had an online mode. And it was the first time I ever played a shooter online. I can remember going to school, coming home like fiending
Yep.
to play that game. Me and my brother fighting over it. He was 8 years older than me. He's in high school. I'm in middle school or elementary school then. So we're fighting over to play. Oh, it's you died, it's my turn. All right, we're gonna play a match, whatever. But that was the first one, and the servers weren't even good. Like, you
No.
may sit forever. The lag and the latency. Like, wouldn't even play it now if it was like that. But like that was the one that kind of got it going for me, was SOCOM 2.
Yeah.
And then you had some, not long after that, I think I was in college when the new Call of Duty came out, Call of Duty 4.
Yeah.
There was a console Call of Duty version, Call of Duty 3, but PC version, I played Call of Duty 2 on PC. It was just basic classes like you have now. You didn't get to upgrade guns like you were a gunner, you were whatever they're called.
Yep.
And it was kind of branched off of Counter-Strike.
Kill
Counter-Strike.
streaks?
Yes, you had kill streaks once Call of Duty 4 came. I don't think there was anything on 2.
No.
2 I played on PC. Call of Duty 4 I initially played on PC, then switched over to console, and that's when I kind of switched back to console, like you said earlier, because my buddies were there. And I felt like that's kind of that's what hooked me, was when online gaming, SOCOM 2 got me in. We used to play some Madden quick matches and stuff, and that was kind of some broken controllers, those kind of things.
A few of those
broken controllers. You lose to the Browns and their 17th starting quarterback. You just take that PS3 controller, twist it just right, and everything goes flying. Mom, I dropped it.
Yeah, dropped it. Yeah,
but that would be my moment. That SOCOM 2, that Madden generation, where I think it's 05 or so. When they started getting a little bit bigger, servers were terrible though. I mean, you were lucky if you could find a game. There was something, I don't know if y'all ever heard of people lag switching.
Oh yeah.
They
would have a literal switch.
Well,
and you could flip
before
it.
the lag switch, you could take your cable. Now that I've done this, you could take your cable and just jiggle it a little, and it would cause the other person, maybe they were kicking a field goal and they needed perfect latency. You just touch it a little bit. Maybe they lagged right when they kicked and it caused them to lose the game. Not that I would know. I mean, I would never do something like that.
I'll have to take that time.
That'd be so unfair. Yeah.
Talking about that, it wasn't too long ago. My stepson, he's 12 now, and he said he needed a new controller. His controller just quit working. It just quit working. I'm like, okay, it just quit working. Well, let me see it and shake it. You can hear it rattling. He says, yeah, it just started rattling. I said, okay. I said, which game did you get mad at? Because I've done that. Never done that. I know what happened.
Along those same lines, we were talking about the Wii earlier. Like, the Wii caused a lot of broken TVs. It had the wrist strap, but not everybody really wore the wrist strap. It would still slip off.
The baseball game.
You're playing the baseball game. Oh, yeah, I pitched it. Oh.
Wii bowling and just slip right out. Yeah. That bringing that up, it reminds me of like when you were playing a game, you always thought that if you tap the buttons harder, it worked a little better. When really it didn't matter. Yeah,
I was a button smasher at one.
Yeah, that's the old arcade method of the button smash, the joystick, the old Mortal Kombat stuff.
Do you guys have anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
No, I think it's just something that's.
I have one more thing to add. I'm mad at Fortnite. They got rid of trios.
Yeah, trios. It is
breaking news. If you haven't saw already,
and that's I want to say that I could be wrong on this, but originally you only had solos and trios.
Yeah,
and that was their thing. Like you had solos and trios. I remember playing solos for hours, hiding in a bush here, hiding in a house there, because there was no movement.
Just
building
camping.
was very limited.
Oh yeah,
you couldn't practice building. Back then, you had to go to Wayland Woods. Hopefully, because no one was there, because there was one chest, you would farm all the wood you could. Yep. You'd practice your building in Wayland Woods till the storm killed you. That was creative.
That was
Creative.
But I guess just bringing it to a close, video games started out as simple as possible, and if you could go back in time and take, say, the creator of Pong and show them where they are now, they wouldn't believe you.
Oh, no.
I mean, it being as probably $1 trillion of companies that there are now, it's just insane. And it goes back to that word, camaraderie.
Yeah.
Just getting online, playing with your friends, and having a good time.
Yeah,
and online's not even been that big for too long.
It hasn't
I think
the cross-platform is actually,
and that's kind of started just cross-platform. Most games are not even still cross-platform.
No.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy is if a game wants to be real successful, they'll cross-platform.
And that was one thing that Fortnite came in with too. It was any platform you want, PS3,
everybody could play together. I was
whatever,
like,
PS4, I guess. Yeah.
That's one thing that blew my mind was, I was a big Xbox. So my son played on Xbox and all his buddies had PlayStation, but they were playing Fortnite together.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it kind of ended the console wars with that as well. Because for the longest time, PlayStation's better, Xbox is better.
The 360 and the PS3 were so heavily debated.
Oh, yeah.
Sony took such a misstep there because their console came out too advanced.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray at the time was so expensive that the console was $100 more on release.
Yep.
360 took that opportunity. They went in $100 cheaper. blew the sales out of the water.
Yep.
Sony did the same thing with the PS5. They came out first. Wasn't cheaper, but it came out first.
Yep.
And their sales tripled or more probably with the Series
I know for the
X.
longest time.
And the naming rights of Xbox is terrible.
For the longest time, anything Xbox was released in November.
Yeah.
Any new Xbox was released
Well,
in
see,
November.
the
PlayStation went in
initially
December.
on the 360, this is one of the things that kind of got PlayStation back on board on the PS4. On 360, we were talking about the map packs. PlayStation got them after.
Yeah.
360 got them a month early. So all the competitive matches were all on 360 because you got the maps earlier. PS4, Sony got out front. They bought the license.
Yep.
They got it out first. Now I think Microsoft has it, but they know not to do anything like that.
Yeah.
Map packs and stuff, that'll kill a console. Sony will drop them. They won't be in that platform anymore.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
And Sony can make it without Call of Duty. Call of Duty can't make it without the extra consoles. They need
true.
every platform they can get.
Absolutely. But I think we could go on all day.
Yeah,
Talking
we're here
about
for
video
about 6 more
games.
hours.
We really could.
Really
good.
We could run a live right now, and we could just have a full live stream going on.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
But I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. I appreciate you checking in again for this episode of Let's Talk History. And as always, keep talking history.
We may have to have some follow-ups, maybe some users send
There
some,
might be a part two. Who
we may have to do
knows?
a part two, some questions.
Yeah. But I got to thank my co-hosts for coming. Loveless always, and our two new co-hosts.
Yeah.
I want, obviously, to have some more of this in the future. And if you like this video, maybe there will be. But as always, guys, we'll see you later.